Good evening, everyone. Dave Wilson's Ring of Hire show. Well, Bill, welcome back.
It's like deja de vu.
But, well, everybody, if they watched the show on Tuesday, we had a power outage here, so couldn't get back signed on. But it's I'm glad that we could pick this back up on
I
Thursday.
tried to punt. I had to punt a little bit, trying to buy you some time, and then realized you weren't coming back.
Yeah, I was like, it was going off and on, and so I
Yeah.
run down to get my work Wi-Fi real quick. I'm thinking, all right, maybe I can hook up to that. That wouldn't turn on. I was like, I'm done. I said,
Yeah.
that's out. But but I was looking forward to the show because I had some questions like we had talked about, and I'm going to go over some of them. But I did get one today, which Bill, I thought was pretty good. The way he worded it was, he said, ask Bill. He said, in your opinion, how is the best way to stand out to get? He really wants, because of his family, he needs to have a remote job, but he's having no luck. He's got the qualifications. And we've talked about, you've said it numerous times, but do you give anybody some advice to what they can do to try to stand out or try to get a hold of that person? Because when you got 1,000 or 3,000 applications, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and we've talked about this so much, and I think again, it's how do you differentiate, right? And so it depends on the position. That has a lot to do with it. What are they doing? And then the reality is, first of all, take a look at the company and see if they even offer remote hybrid type schedules. Because it's the, what's that, the saying, like trying to put the square peg in a round hole. Right. So if they're not even open to people working remote, stop trying to go down that path. They're not going to change because of you. Right. So that's the first thing, is to figure out, look, do they even offer that? I mean, let's think about that. That's like if you know what you want and you're going to get, and you're like, I want to work for this company. Well, then do they offer what you want? And if they do, great. But if they don't, then there's no reason. You need to move on. Companies are not going to change for you unless, right, you are of some high demand specialty brain surgeon, specialist, tumor, something, maybe, I don't know, whatever. But I mean, they're not going to change the way they operate just because you say, hey, I have to work remote. So this is what, I mean, you can't do that. So hunt for remote jobs, first of all, concentrate in that field, concentrate around positions that are like that, and then try to find the best thing. That's the only thing I would say, because I'm not sure how you could even influence if the position isn't remote.
That's what I mean. I've seen it.
Yeah, that's kind of difficult.
1,000 applicants, and then the next day it says right there that they've received enough. And that's what I told you I don't like, is I wish people would look. What I tell them is, when they look for that remote job, like you said, make sure it's real first, but then realize the time difference. A lot of people they just apply and apply. They don't realize it could be in California or New Jersey, or on the East Coast, or in the middle, and you might not be able to work those hours. You need to check, because
that's another thing. That's actually a really interesting point too that you bring up. Because of auto apply, because of all of the technology that's taking place with a certain job board right now, where candidates don't even know they're being automatically applied to positions. They're kind of flooding the gates when they're not truly qualified. And so you can have positions where they do close it down because and it's not 1,000. It doesn't have to be 1,000. I mean, I had a conversation earlier this week with an HR person who said, we had 100 people apply, we shut it down. I mean, it doesn't take. And now that was on Monday. Today's Thursday, so it must have been yesterday, that there was a follow-up call, and she said, hey, by the way, 90% of those people weren't even qualified. We opened it back up.
That's what I mean. And you're missing out, a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that's because, again, they're just applying and not really looking at the position to understand if they're qualified for it.
Because LinkedIn, it does show sometimes the recruiter that's in charge, that's handling some of it. So I'm sure she or he gets an overload of response. But I think it's hard for me to tell them how, because I do the same thing. I say, well, first of all, I've learned you got to check, like you said, if it's real. Some of that stuff is not even real. And I think sometimes I really don't know what a company wants besides resumes, or if they want a pool of people. I don't know, because it's been on that. When you see it on there for months on months, it's like, that should be a red flag right there. It's like, wait a minute here. That's
I
what I
was just
don't.
going to, there was an article today that came out, staffing industry analyst, and I saw it, and I'm going back to find it real quick.
Right.
And it's titled AI Job Scams Push Employers in Digital Identity Checks. And having to do with IP tracking and scams. I mean, it's not just the job; it's the candidate as well scamming.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of questionable things going on. But the remote role, if it sounds too good to be true, guys, be careful, because it probably is. I mean, that's really your best bet. And then I've said this before. Look, if it's coming and it's on LinkedIn, and as an example, we'll just use LinkedIn. I'm not saying that's where they all come from, because we know they don't. But let's just say it's LinkedIn. And if the email you're responding to is a Gmail account,
I know.
you should be concerned. And that's all I'm going to say. I mean, you be smart about this.
Right.
And if you can't get them on the phone, be concerned.
Right. And
if their phone number isn't, if you're in the United States and the position is in South Carolina, and their phone number isn't in the United States, instead it's in a different country, I would question it. I would go to the website of that. Like if they say, "Oh, we don't have a website for our company," I would question that. And then if anybody asks you in advance for your social security number, your bank account, your full name, your date of birth, look, you can't ask. Look, can we just talk about you can't ask people for their date of birth?
No, that's definitely not, And like I told you before, I tell them, change the email. Don't put AOL. Don't put that.
I mean, don't do that, guys. I mean, those are signs. And there should not be a recruiter out there who you're interviewing with who asks you for your date of birth before you have a job offer, been through the interview process. It's legit at that point. But anybody in the beginning asking you, "Hey, I need your full name, date of birth, and your address," just block them and move on. It's just a scam.
Do you feel in your experience, like with companies reaching out to you, that the hybrid is kind of more popular than like a remote? Because the reason I say that is because when you look at, if I was applying for jobs looking for remote and I saw hybrid, but with a hybrid, you got to be in the office. So that really cuts it down extremely, because you got to be in the office. So you wouldn't apply for it. People still do. But do you see companies going towards a hybrid somewhat more or not?
I did a call. I had a call on Tuesday with a company in Florida and their CEO, and the position was an accounting position. And we were discussing, the market, what they're looking for, trying to get a better understanding. And part of that conversation was, well, look, the people can be remote. We don't care. I was like, well, that's really interesting. You don't hear that a whole lot. What's the situation? And they said, we're all remote now. And we've been that since COVID, and we know how to work around it, and we're good with it. And I said, interesting. Okay, even for an accounting role, because normally with accounting in particular, and especially when someone starts in the business, they kind of like to have them on site. And the comment was, you know what, you're right. We kind of, in the beginning, we like to have them on site a little bit. It's more of a hybrid role. I think it just depends on the companies. And it depends on time of year. It depends on how you've been there. I think there's not a right, wrong, or a perfect answer to any of this anymore. I mean, everybody has something a little bit different. Everybody's situation is a little bit different. What's going on with their locations, their rents, the position. We had someone the other day who, in a medical type of a role, who wanted to be remote only. I'm like, how can you do that? How can you be? You want to be a patient intake specialist and you want to work remote?
I tell you, that would be one of my red flags. I'm like, wait a minute here, that don't even sound right. It doesn't.
I don't know. So I don't know, David. I think it's still, we're in the middle of this.
Yeah. Because I tell them right away, as soon as I get a question from somebody like that, I'll look their profile, and we've said it a million times, and we'll go down a different about it. But if their LinkedIn's not good, they're not doing anything local, that's just going to cut them down as further. Because I still believe, with anybody, they go to your LinkedIn. It's just the way it is. I try to talk to people even at work to say, listen, get on there. You don't have to be looking for a job to get there, but just stay relevant. Because I always say, listen, with this show, if I ever lose my job, I'm coming on 24 hours, and I'm not getting off until I get hired. So I'll sit here and be like, well, I ain't moving, But my point there is, if you're relevant, if you're out there about what you specialize in, Like I said, well, I'm only an HVAC technician. Well, so what? Do you realize how your role in HVAC technician or a CNC machinist
Yeah.
could be on LinkedIn? How you could probably find a job within a heartbeat with still some regular skill set jobs like that. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be college educated, but when a
There's a
recruiter
massive
sees,
shortage, and a
wow,
massive demand. And we've talked about this. And with
yeah,
LinkedIn, look, if you're not going to be active, at least take your resume and
right,
put it into a format that you post it as an article
right,
on your LinkedIn profile so that it gets
right,
picked up. Again, if you want to remove your cell phone number or put a different number in or get a Google number,
right.
a different email, take your address off. That's
No, I did that
totally
with a job
understandable.
posting. After you
Did
said
you?
that, I did that with a job
Yeah.
posting. It got within the first day, it got, I know I have a little bit more on here, but it got 1,400 impressions, okay, within the first day. So I don't know, I didn't fill it, but I tried it and it wasn't that hard. It was like, all right, let me see, if that
Yeah.
works. Because you had said about the resume, and I've told people that already. So listen, try it. What do you got to lose? Because
Yeah.
it's going out there, and like you said, you don't want your number, you don't want your try to because you will. I bet you will get spammed, you know,
100%.
for
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
if it helps to get out there, I told them just do it. You got
Yeah.
nothing else to lose. I wish I could say I saw applications go up, but I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. But the impressions went up versus like say 360. So it was open.
Here's something else. Here's something else to think about. So this happened this week. I noticed one of our employees was posting things on LinkedIn, and I hadn't seen some stuff in a while, and I took a look at it,
Right.
and the posts were showing up in my feed from a post she did 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So think about that. So that tells you that algorithm has changed and why it's so important that if you're looking for work and you want to be out there, you have to be consistent. So
Right.
you need to be posting every day. And there's a whole algorithm kind of thing. And I told you I was going to send you a link. We actually created a page on our website
Right.
for candidates to apply. It's underneath our candidates tab,
Mm.
and it's about LinkedIn and how to apply on LinkedIn, because you need to warm it up, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yep.
You literally need to go on LinkedIn and like some things, and for 5 or 10 minutes, read some
Right.
stuff, scroll, before you actually post.
Yes.
And then once you post and make comments, you kind of can walk away for 20, 30 minutes. Then you need to come back and actually do it again.
Yep.
But that activity needs to be every day. And so otherwise, you're not going to show up in the feeds just like that individual who I was like, that's 3 weeks old. And it was
Bill,
a
I've done
position
that
she
right
was
now, right
recruiting
before
for.
this. Yep, right before the
Yeah.
show, I've done what you said. Right before the show, I do 20 words or less on when company posts a job. I put on there, hey, it's 25 words or less. Copy
Yeah.
paste, put that on there, like it. I did like 15 likes, and I did about 25 when they posted jobs right before this.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I do the same thing, and I am telling you, from like what you said, it has increased. Man, do I get
Mind
more?
boggling.
I get more
It's mind
spam
boggling.
sometimes. Yeah, I get more spam and messages, but I also have been getting more people from connections,
Yeah.
people reaching out. I was like, what's changing here? I said, wow. But like you said, I do it every day because I tell people
Yeah.
15 minutes. I'm a little crazy because with the show and everything with LinkedIn, but I do it a little bit more than some. But by doing that, you are not lying. It works great.
They took out 30% of your feed information from LinkedIn to put in sponsored ads,
Right.
by the
Right.
way. So,
Bill, here's Christopher. He says, I get invitations from LinkedIn for events that have occurred in the
yeah,
past. We need to fix that.
Christopher, I'm going to give you an amen, brother, on that. I don't understand how that can even happen.
Right.
It just, that blows my mind, because we're not just talking about LinkedIn. We're talking about a Microsoft product. Maybe that's the issue. I don't know. But with AI that they're so proud of, you would think that they would be promoting an event not 2 days after it's already happened. I'm not sure what the thought process is, that maybe you're going to go back to look at it later. Maybe you're going to think about looking in the future. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
On that part.
But
Yeah.
I've seen that. I agree with you. That's a really valid and great point.
Yeah. On the next one, Bill, do you feel on the skill trades? We talk about that. I know you do a lot of other professional roles. You do from medical, all that, dentists, all that. Do you see staffing companies, regular companies like in those fields, like say plumbing, HVAC, all these other, Do you see a lot of them going for staffing companies where I know workers' comp is a big thing on that, but there seems to be certain staffing companies that just handle skilled trades. But is a plumber, would a plumber be recommended to post on LinkedIn and have an account on LinkedIn? Because we always say, oh, they're not on there, they're not on there. And you've even said sometimes they are. There is people that keep it. I have my daughter on here. I'm like, just have a page and something. Because you never know that one person. You know, we all have friends. But I don't know.
I think you have to think about it as it goes back to the word I used before, differentiate. Right. So it's supply and demand. So if you're fishing in the same pond, then you're going to get the same items all the time. So look at something different. And if you're like a plumber, skill trade, you should be on. Well, first of all, you should be on Indeed 100%. You should be on ZipRecruiter.
Like there's no. We'll go after this question here. We'll talk about how you even say about. I wanted to talk to you about the Facebook on that part. But Chris says here again, what do you all think of the open to work debate? Recruiters sometimes discourage. But Chris, on my part, listen. The reason I like open to work, and I'm going to tell you why. On LinkedIn, with a recruiter seat, when companies spend a lot of money for those, I like it because if I'm looking, let's just say for a top manager, okay. When I go on that sync and I've set all the filters and I'll get 2,000 people that I could reach out to. Then I go over and I change the filter to open to work, right? That lowers it down to like say 200. So for me, Chris, that's me. And Bill might have a different opinion. Everybody has different opinion, but I like it for that purpose. I don't think it makes you look desperate. I will simply say it looks desperate, but to me, I would use it for me because I think people are like, if you're open to work, it makes you desperate. I don't think that does. If LinkedIn's putting it on there, I always say, like, if LinkedIn's doing it, I'm going to do it because they got it out there for a reason. But I don't know how you feel about that, Bill, on that part.
First of all, I'm going to 100% agree with you on this. 100%. And the open to work banner, which is, I think, what they call it, right? There's a flow that happens, and there's a tool within LinkedIn called LinkedIn Recruiter that recruiters use. And when we go into this tool, just like you were talking about, it's about the funnel. And if I put in that I'm looking for an accountant, let's say an accounts payable person, and I'm going to do an accounts payable person in Dallas, boy, that's going to be, I'm going to come back with thousands of profiles at the top of my funnel. Now I'm going to start narrowing it down. I'm going to narrow down to just Dallas, not Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm going to narrow it down to I need an accounting degree. And then I'm going to narrow down. I'm going to keep going down. And then that last one that I'm going to funnel into will be open to work. And honestly, it probably should have been at the top of my funnel because they have intent, immediate need. So I don't know that I personally have ever heard a recruiter discourage someone from doing that because I don't know why you would discourage anyone from trying to take care of themselves or their family. But I would say, look, you're looking for work, you're open to work, and it makes it easier on the search to find. So I would 100% tell you, if you are not working and you are looking to find, I would absolutely 100% put that in there so that you are at the top of the funnel when they get to the bottom of the funnel when it comes to reaching out. Because that tells me you absolutely have intent. Now, the disclaimer is that when you do find work, take it off. Please, because there is nothing worse than us doing that, and then we reach out to people, and then they go, "Oh, I started a new job 6 months ago and I forgot."
Yeah, because most people open to work always check their messages.
That's right.
Because every time I send it out when they're open to work, I'm like, I get a message within about 2-3 hours.
Yeah, you're going to get them. You're going to get a response. 100. I 100% agree with you on that. You bet. Yeah.
Bill Hassan, how you doing, Hassan? He says, quick question. I've seen some recruiters request date of birth or the last 4 of Social Security early in the process. When is it actually safe to share that kind of information, and what's the best way for candidates to handle those requests? I'm actively exploring new roles, so I want to make sure I'm doing this securely.
So, Hassan, first of all, the date of birth is in the United States. It is a EEOC violation, 100% against the law. You cannot ask for that date of birth until a certain point. So asking for that immediately is going to be, that's an immediate red flag, and you could probably make money. Let me just tell you this, right? I'm not kidding. Now, the last 4 of the social And when we talk about early in the process, there's a reason sometimes with that, and that has to do with vendor management systems, large corporations. When they're submitting if a recruiter's submitting your information to a program, they need an identifier that comes along. I will tell you that most no longer ask for that until you're moving forward in the process. You've had an interview. Yeah, you've had an interview. They're doing a double check. It used to be a way that they would put those on some of the vendor management systems. They really don't do it anymore. They primarily use your email address. The last four of the social comes into play usually when they're just doing a compliance check to make sure that there isn't another record of you in there, or that another recruiter has submitted you already into the system. But that date of birth thing, that is I'm telling you guys, that's a no. And any smart recruiter knows that is easily going to cost you $25,000.
Yep. Same thing. Asking how many kids you have, everything. You can't do that kind of stuff. I don't even.
Well, I mean, you can. The kids thing can come up in a conversation if you do it the right way.
Great. Yeah, it can. It just pops out like that because they'll say, if I have a picture of my kids on the desk, or they'll be like, "Oh,
there you go."
It's like,
that's right.
3 or 4, and then you're like,
okay, that's okay. Yeah, but you're not going to have your birth certificate sitting behind you.
No.
Now, if I'm interviewing you, Dave, and I'm looking at your background, and I said, "So when were you in the military?"
Right. Oh, yeah.
Is that an EEOC violation? Because I asked that.
Yeah. In a way.
No, it's not.
No, I don't think so. No, for the military. No, you're right.
Because first of all, it's all around you.
Right. You're right. Go figure.
So
right?
You've already opened up the door for me. Yeah. I didn't say how old are you. Right. I didn't talk about that. So that's where I think people forget.
Say Ronald Reagan was my chief, was my commander in chief. I say Ronald Reagan, and I'm always like, when I see it on TV, I'm like, that's when it hits me. I'm like, whoa, Ronald Reagan was my chief. I'm like, okay, that can tell you right there where I was.
Yeah, Patton was my boss. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
that's that'd be something, right? Oh my God! But no, that's a good question on that part. The last 4,
that was a really good. Yeah, that's usually what it has to do. And again, when they ask for that, it should be an onboarding, or there's something to do with it. And again, there are different times when it does come into play. Right. Asking for a date of birth, is it relevant to the position?
Right.
For example,
because they can see it on your driver's license once you get. But that's, like you said, you can't do the driver's license until you get into the offer and all that other stuff. That you can't do that prior to.
But think about it as if you're selling liquor, alcohol. Right. I need to make sure you're of legal age to be able to sell it, right? So you wouldn't ask for your exact date of birth. You would just ask, are you of legal age to be able to sell alcoholic beverages?
Right.
Maybe that'd be the way. And I'm not giving legal advice here, just as a disclaimer. So just make sure we're throwing that out. But you do the same thing when we discuss your eligibility to work in the United States.
Right.
Right. David, are you eligible to work in the United States without sponsorship?
Right.
Completely legal question to ask.
Right.
I can't say, "Hey, David, are you a U.S. citizen?"
Right.
That's illegal. You cannot ask that of someone.
And that makes sense too when you think about it. When you sit back, because a lot of people don't know that on the onboarding process, they don't know all those legal questions that are asked afterwards. Or some that are prior, and some, like, everybody knows when they apply online. You can see it; those questions are asked. About the disability. Do you have a disability, or you don't have to answer that? There's so many different things. That could be a whole show on onboarding, on making things.
That would be a great legal show with somebody to explain, because I think we had this discussion actually before we got cut off, or started to, talking about, we had this client who was asking questions like, well, are you planning to have kids?
Right.
You can't ask that.
No.
Right. No, I want to know if you're going to be out. No, you can't. You can't do that. But some people don't know. Some people, I genuinely believe they just don't know that's not appropriate to ask. And then you have other people that their intent is to absolutely weed out. So the gray area is about understanding what's your real intent of why you're asking for all of this. Are you asking for a date of birth because it's a Department of Defense position and I need to have your date of birth to enter it into the DoD system to submit your profile.
Right.
Okay, I understand. That's a requirement of the government. The government has different rules.
Yeah.
So you could, or are you a U.S. citizen because you're applying to a position with security level, whatever, with the government, and that's part of the question. Like they will not allow anyone who isn't, because there's a different process to go through if you are on a visa.
Federal. Yeah, it's anything like even when you apply. I have a friend that went up and applied for for work at a prison, at the state prison up here.
Yeah.
But he was like, wow, did we get drilled on every question? They do it because it's federal, even just to be a guard in a prison. You're talking a lot.
But that's because of the background checks, right?
Right, yeah. Everything is
You're not going to walk into Walmart or Home Depot and fill out their online deal and they're going to tell you, we need your driver's license.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
They don't do that. They know that. But if you walk into your local sheriff's office and you want to be a deputy, you should expect that you're going to be giving them everything and then some.
Everything in that folder, you're going to be bringing that folder and getting used to adding things to it.
You want to be a pilot and fly a plane, you're going to have to give up all that info. So I think it just depends.
And Bill, you said a lot of companies that you deal business with too, is there's so many different type of background checks that you have to do on just their schooling alone. I mean, you're talking about, right? There's a lot. It's not just like, hey, background check, but there's like 5, 6, probably 10 different things that you might have to, that your client is requesting, right? I mean, there's so many different things.
Yeah, but again, it's okay to ask that once you're down that line to an offer.
For that part.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing about, we used to have the application, and on the application it asked you, have you ever been convicted? Right. Well, you depending on the position, that's not the question you are asked until after an interview. If there's interest in you moving forward, then we can start asking. And even then, it's not so much about that, because convicted doesn't mean that you're out.
Right.
So if you had a blemish in your background, it doesn't mean doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It means explain, what does this have to do? What is the situation around it? So there's a lot more leniency than I think there used to be. But part of that is honesty. Be honest from the beginning about it, not down at the end trying to explain, because it'll bite you in the rear end at the end.
Okay, that makes sense. I like how you said that, because it makes sense why, when you know it and it's going to get caught. It'll get caught, and then you get caught.
We had somebody a few weeks ago, they're like, I wrote a bad check 20 years ago. We're like, listen, thanks for the info, but nobody cares. Just
I don't want to know that. I always just say, listen, anything when they start talking about their health, anything, listen, I don't want to know it. I'm like, nope, I don't
Stop.
want to.
That's right. Don't
even go there.
Recruiters, we cringe, or even like at a dinner party and somebody starts doing it and you get,
you get nervous because you need to know. You need to know.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with, if you're a recruiter, to ask. Listen, I'd rather ask that question than get caught, not caught, but get a company in trouble or anything like that. Because if you don't, just ask. That's what's the worst.
And we always try to coach them. I always try to coach them too. Like I get that phone call from the people and they'll always be like, look, I'm a single mom and I'm like, whoa, hang on. Please don't tell anybody. Nobody needs to know that.
Right.
Well, that's part of my story. That can come out later, but you don't start your conversation off with that.
Right.
I'm 38 years old and I'm a single mom. No, do not start your conversation. Don't.
That just throws it out there. And I agree 1,000%. That's because I guess once you've done it for so long and you've had that. That's why I said, I call it evolving, but I didn't know these things 15 years ago. I mean, everything is just changing and it's drilled into you. So when the companies are doing some good training, that's what has to happen with some new recruiters. Just even if you listen to this, you would be like, wow, because with all the information with AI and with everything that we have, books on work now versus back in the day, you didn't have the internet. You just read. You had to read something, or somebody was teaching you in a class. You just don't have that anymore.
Well, I have told you, and I'm gonna shout it out right now. You've got to get Barb Bruno on here. And I'm gonna call her.
Send it again. I'm gonna send it again. I'm gonna get her on here. I promise.
She is the ultimate recruiter trainer on earth. She is so fantastic and just really understands and can help people, and I think should be huge for you guys to have a conversation.
She said if she's a friend, if you know Bill Kasko, then it's a yes. So she does know you. So I sent it to her assistant. I'm going to send it again. I'll get her. The next thing I had a couple things here. And I tried to explain to this person when he asked me about Facebook with different jobs of postings, because years ago, you remember how Facebook did have jobs you could post, and then they took all that away.
Yeah.
So I always tell them what you said about, like, when you're looking for dentists, right? It makes common sense when you said about, well, join dental groups, because it made sense. And then when I joined them to look, I was like, you're right. Here's all the businesses' names, and they're advertising to come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're looking, if you're being a passive searcher, what a way to go into the Facebook. And everybody's like, well, dentists aren't on there or doctors aren't on there. No, but their offices are maybe, and they are. There is doctors on Facebook.
What we found was when we did this, we have this whole group and division where we place grocery store managers.
Right.
And we found that the grocery industry, the food service industry, but specifically grocery, were individuals. First of all, they should all get a special medal just because of what they had to do during COVID to try to keep us all fed in stores, right? They don't have resumes. Like, they go to work for a grocery company and they don't leave.
Right.
So when you try to find them, they're not on LinkedIn. They're not on Indeed. The store managers aren't. They're just not there. And so, but where they are, they're on Facebook, and the grocery chains market. If you think about this, think of it, you get ads like Kroger or whatever, maybe Safeway. They're on Instagram and Facebook and they're posting. Well, then that's where they're at. And then you realize then there are these groups, and there are groups on Facebook for every vertical you can imagine. Like there are companies, staffing agencies that they spend zero money like on the Indeeds, and instead they have groups that they've created on Facebook where people follow them for jobs. And really, Reddit is another one, which I don't really understand. I'm trying to get my arms around this thing.
I still look at it. I don't know who's on. I don't know my audience. I don't know.
Very confused still. But they have the subgroups where people follow. And so if you're looking for work, I would go to Facebook sometimes before, depending on what you're looking at, but before an Indeed or a ZipRecruiter. Because you can really narrow into these groups, and then there are other people involved, and there's conversations, and the companies, and if they don't treat the people well, people say, don't go there. They don't treat you well. Or, we used to do the Glassdoor, and that used to be the big thing, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
Now, they were just taken over by Indeed. So again, you need to be careful of who the narrative is being driven by. And Facebook's not driving the conversations. Those conversations that are happening are being, driven by the people in the groups and by people looking to hire good people. So I really think, the Facebook thing is a great example. And also, by the way, you can take your resume and you can post it on there as well. You put it into your profile. By the way, that'll get picked up. It gets picked up by Google and the rest of them.
Well, I said, Bill, like I started in my area, it's called Lehigh Valley Employment Group, right? On Facebook. I got 3.2K people on it now from a year and a half. So every day people can go on the Facebook page. I get an average of 5 to 10 people a day want to join. And I even allow staffing companies to post. So every day I go in and I can post my jobs, but then I get everybody's jobs. Then I share all the other groups on that page. And you're right. No matter what job, if it's a job within the area, I keep it within the Lehigh Valley. I don't put it 50, 100 miles away. I decline them because I don't want them on that page. But you should see, I get plumbers, I get people and they post in there, but that's only a way around it. Like, because now Facebook doesn't have the job. It used to be great. You could post those jobs and post it and you got results. It was like, man, you're looking for...
But they do the same thing. So you take the ad and they boost it, and then it goes out. But the problem is your return. It's hard to get a return. You're better off being active in a group and have settings. So when LinkedIn first did their groups, and that was the idea behind it. Today, you join the groups only because your profile needs to have X number of groups to get to the next level. But people don't actually go in there and have those conversations not like a Facebook.
I
And I was
share everything
against,
on LinkedIn groups. I'm like, you know what? I see it's not active. Some of them. Some of the groups, I
yeah,
wish they would become active because you're like, wow, this is a great name, and
yeah,
you see it, and you want to share your stuff. But I still share it. But I'm like, it's been 5 months since somebody posted something. So I said that ain't
yeah.
going anywhere. That's not
But
going.
doesn't that goes back to all the noise,
Right.
right? Because there's so much noise in your just funnel coming in your feed every day that you never have
Right.
time to go over there because I got to look at this. I got this ad.
Right.
Oh, look at this video. Oh, look at this dog. And you're like, you're going through, and you all of a sudden you look down. You're like, I've been on here for 30 minutes. Not even TikTok.
Right.
And I will tell you, TikTok is another one.
I
I'm
know you
blown
said it.
away. I'm blown away with TikTok. But we post on TikTok, and I'm amazed at how many people tell us, "Hey, we saw this on TikTok."
See,
And professionals, high level, and it just blows me away.
listen. I got into. I started watching. I mean, it's addictive on the reels. You're
Yeah,
sitting there
it is.
before you
Yeah,
know it on TV. You're like, whoa, it's 45 minutes later. But
but
I do.
video is Dave. So same thing.
Yeah.
Think about YouTube.
Yeah. And that was one of the questions I had, and I'm going to go right to that real quick.
Yeah,
Do you think YouTube can have any kind of future in job searching?
I think it already does.
Does it?
I think it
That's
does.
why I wanted to ask you about
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So YouTube is the second most used search engine in the world.
Okay. Wow,
So
I didn't know
out
that.
of all the searches that take place, YouTube is the second, is number two.
Okay.
So I didn't realize it either until about a year ago when it was like on a weekend, and it all of a sudden kind of hit me, and my wife had me doing some stuff, and I'm like, this is like the fourth time I've gone to YouTube to see how to do it.
Right. Yeah. You're right. We do
And
it all
then
the
and then
time.
it kind of clicked, and then I went back and looked at our company information and realized we had like 500 subscribers. We'd had a
Right.
YouTube page for, I don't know, 20 years.
Right.
And I said, guys, we're doing something wrong. We're missing out on, if it's the second most searched, we need to
Right.
be coming up higher. Well, then we started doing more research in it and found out, there were a bunch of influencers in there doing videos to make money, but it wasn't actually about the jobs. And we
Right.
rerouted our stuff about 6-7 months ago, I guess. We're about to cross 15,000 subscribers. Now that's not massively huge,
Right.
but the next closest company in
But
our
you post jobs on
space,
there. You'll post jobs on there too, right?
our video jobs are all on there, and then we started posting this on there now to push it as well,
Right.
for people to come back to see, in a place where people go and actually search, and it's mind-boggling. But the next closest company to us with subscribers, I think they only have like 6,000 more subscribers than us, and they're an $11 billion company.
Nice. You got my brain
So
going right now. As you're talking, I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to be like Googling companies because I want to see.
yeah,
Because that's what I wanted to ask you. I know you're involved in that more so with that, but I never thought about that for a job search to Google the company, right? I mean,
well, think
we
about
have
it. Somebody's sitting there on their phone, and they're like,
right,
I wonder who's hiring. Who's hiring for accounts payable in Dallas? And
right,
they typed it into Google.
right,
And what does
yeah,
Google come back with? They come back with some information,
right,
and then there's like a whole thing in there of videos.
right. Okay,
It's right
I'm
there.
gonna I'm gonna look into that more because I got to be honest, I haven't thought about that, but you're right. I mean, you always just put questions in. It doesn't hurt to try it.
Go there and check it out. And then when you check out the shorts that we do for the jobs,
Right.
I'm sure you're going to send me an email. You're going to be blown away because it
All
blows
right.
me away every time I look at it.
And that's just
It's
another
mind-boggling.
piece of the pie. It's another piece of the pie that is
Yeah.
gonna between TikTok, YouTube, and when you look at that and, like, if I was to say to somebody, "Oh, yeah, use TikTok, YouTube for job searches," they'd probably look at me like, "Dave, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?" But once
Yeah.
I'll just get in picture, I'll just study it. I'll just be like and then I'll be able to say, "Damn, he was right. He is right on
5
that,"
years ago, 5 years ago, I would have agreed with you 100%. I would have
Right.
said, put down the pipe you've been smoking because
Right, yeah.
you are cray cray. Today, I don't. Today, I say,
Okay.
Career Builder is gone, pretty much.
Right, yeah,
Monster's
yeah, it's
pretty
pretty
much
much
gone. I mean, that
they
stuff is
tried.
where are we at? We are in a different way of looking at things.
Do you
So
feel that it's gonna like if you had to I know you try to predict it's hard, but you gotta have some kind of idea in the future, like the next 5 years where you see it, the company, what you do. Do you see that's where you invest more in, or do you see other things besides, like I said, Indeed, I just don't like those things. I mean, yeah, you can look it up and you put the job, but I just feel there's other ways I wish people would do.
I
It's the
think I
same
think
thing.
they're training us how to search differently,
Right.
and we don't even realize it, and they're doing it.
Right.
And Google is the best example. Facebook and Meta, they're actually charging pretty strong
Yeah.
ahead on this thing as well.
Right.
But it's already changing the way we look at things. I mean, I'm blown away when we get these phone calls and they're like, "Oh, I found you on Claude." I'm like, "How?" Like
Wow.
we never said, "Claude,
Yeah. Well,
do something with us." And so it's not just one piece, it's Gemini and all these other pieces of like Google. But when you do a Google search, it's no longer the exact same way. They're working in the AI. When we do a search for something now, we're literally speaking
right.
in a different way. Why? Well, first of all, we're getting very comfortable with dictating, is what we used to call it, right? To our phones, to our
Right.
cars, to everything we do, Siri, whatever. Something's going to go off now that I said that.
Oh, it is. My
Alexa,
phone, I
right?
guarantee everything we talked about tonight, by tomorrow,
Yeah,
I'll get those emails and stuff's gonna come up.
but they're training us on how to do this, and so it's going to change. We won't do it the same way. I don't think we'll do it the same way in 2 years.
Right.
It could even be a year, which is why we, as a company, continue to look at how do we change, how do we do this, how do we keep moving forward. I had a call again today because we put the kind of hold kibosh on
Right.
what we're doing with this next generation. I didn't like it.
Right.
And we're backing up and we're going to roll it out. And actually, next week, next Thursday, our new job page launches, which we're excited. That's the first step of this new generation. And
Right.
so we're taking it a little different because it's going to change so quick. We have to be ready to adapt quicker.
Right.
And that's the hard part. I don't care whether you're a company or a person looking for work or you're in a job today, what's coming tomorrow. And then the big piece people come back with, how's AI? Is it going to get rid of my job? There's tons of data right now showing it's not going to get rid of your job. It's just going to change your
And I've
job.
seen a lot of that lately. It's been all over the place saying it's not.
Yeah.
And they were saying, I mean, you hear all different studies, but when you were saying that about AI, you're staying ahead. Do you foresee that saving companies? Like, you do it because it's a great process to just get people through, find people, make your
Yeah.
company, find those hard to find people, place people. But is it going to be? It's got to be a savings also, right? The investment, you're talking a big investment, but at the end of the day, you still got to make sure that, all right, what's going to be the return? Is this where we're going? Do you always question like, wow, this is good? I guess you just take that
Yeah.
chance and that's all you can do, you know?
I hope and pray that the
Right,
companies that spend the money on it don't do what we continue to hear, which
right.
is they launch a product and then they forget about it.
Forget about it. Right.
And
Yep.
right now, there's so much noise out there with product and software and everybody selling things
Right.
that you have to, it's like peeling the onion. You got to get down to the core, the value, what's going to be at the end of the day, who do you
Right.
want to basically be in bed with so that you can come out of the other end and get a return on your investment. The cost of everything right now is very high because
Right.
it's expensive to get into.
New.
We
Right.
know that over time it will come down.
Right.
But one of the things that's interesting, this last cycle we went through of technology, we went through and then it's gone back up again. And so, it's just mind boggling. I was listening to something about Apple today and they were talking about, since their, Tim has been in there at whatever their
Right.
return, it's like 2,300% increase in
Right.
the value or something. It's mind boggling.
And
So
that's
the price of your iPhone hasn't gone down, but the
right.
technology has gotten better.
It's done
So
better.
what's it going to be at the end of the day? And I hope
That makes
companies
sense.
recognize that you just can't write a check today and expect it to be there for you in a year because
Right.
you're not going to make any money. That's what's turning people off already because they're
Right.
like, well, we spent money and we're not seeing it. We had somebody the other day that said, hey, I don't understand. How do I get on to AI? Like my company, we're not on AI.
Yeah.
Okay, that's you don't understand that it's not, you don't get on
Right.
AI. That's not how that works. So how do I get my resume on AI?
Well, that's what I tell everybody, and I put I always put your website on there, and everybody, you got to check it out because, and I don't say that just because you're on the show, but that website, I love it. I go on there for ideas. I've gone on there. I'm like, man, check that out. I said, I didn't even think about that, but it's really so professionally done. And we've talked about that. But I got one more thing to ask before we
Yeah,
go. I had
sure.
another question that somebody asked about. Does the stock market affect the employment opportunities when they say, like,
That's
say,
a great
with the
question.
war going on? Let's just say now with the war going on, or when it's really high, why is everybody saying, well, when you go on LinkedIn, where are all the jobs? I hear everybody saying it's a tough market. But then I like how you say the noise, because all the noise
Yeah.
around you tells you that we have a staffing shortage. But then I'm like, wait a minute here. I get confused because wait a minute, we have a staffing shortage. We got a lot
Yeah.
of people looking for work. The stock market's high. They're saying it's great. And that's what one of the questions was.
That's a really great
So,
question. If we go back historically and think about it,
right,
we used to be able to really gauge, like we could gauge our day based on the
right,
stock market. Like if the stock market tanked, everybody kind of was quiet. We weren't going to have any hiring. It was going to be stupid.
right,
Yesterday, stock market was down like 1,100, 1,200 points, whatever.
right,
It was bad. I mean,
right.
it was not a good day because the fighting started again. Some
Yep.
stuff came out, a report. It just wasn't good. Today, it ended, I think, like 500, 600 up.
Right,
What changed? I don't know.
right.
And so the only thing that we look at that anymore for is just an understanding of where we're at. Is it a trend? Because companies will look at that to say, hey, earnings are bad, stuff is down, companies, there's something going on. I mean, those are signs. But we used to use a number of 18 months. I don't know why. It just seemed to be like we had an 18-month window to identify if it was going to go like this, right? So many quarters of decline said we were going into a recession. So many of this and that. Today, you don't know because we think about it. We've been up and down and all back and forth. So it's more looking at numbers than anything else. Today, every Thursday, there's a number that comes out at 7:30 in the morning. It is the weekly jobless claims.
Right.
That, to me, is one of the most important numbers that I watch every week. They have a number they predict, and then the actual number that comes out. It's really a good close number. I'm going to tell you, it's better than the monthly job number. Today, under again. So we watch for that trend. We look for, is it rising? I think it was 197,000 this week. So, but how many are in the workforce? And we have a larger number that aren't joining the workforce. So those are the things we watch and we look at. Obviously, the stock market, if the stock market tanked for an entire week or 2 weeks, being down 300-400 points every single day, that's going to cause concern. Absolutely. 1 day, 2 days, not anymore. Not like it used to.
But do you see with staffing companies sometimes, right? Sometimes when it goes down, can that sometimes help a staffing agency because people are trying to save money and trying to say, hey, we're going to reach out because of that reason, because they're unsure. You know what I mean?
Nah, I don't think so. I think they're gone because what companies have done is figured out how to save the money.
Right. Okay. Makes
so they've looked at it differently. Like we need to build our war chest and be proactive on this thing. But that's what I believe happened in 2025.
Right.
2025 was, I guess you would call it stagnant. It was down from the hiring if you look at it overall.
Right.
But it was really, nobody knew. Like we don't know what's going to happen. We need to hire. So we're only going to hire mission critical. And then they recognized that there wasn't a pool because nobody was leaving their job. Everybody was scared to even look at things. And then companies weren't willing to really pay more to get the talent they wanted. So they're like, we'll just hold back. We'll just try to take this person, figure out who else can help them. What else can we do before we jump out there? That may be over my pay grade.
Right. Over on that. But it's a good question. I thought about it. Now,
no, it's a great question.
I can give some short answers, but I thought about them myself. I'm like, because I like how you say the noise. It's all confusing sometimes because with everybody on the news and this and that, you're like, okay, what do I believe here? Because I get candidates are saying, hey, the job market's tough. A lot of people are out of work. But then again, you hear the job numbers are doing great. And you're like, okay, what's going on here? It's like you based on everything you hear, it's like, what do you do? Everything's always an excuse. Well, it's summertime.
Well, somebody else's. Everybody has an opinion on what they consider to be tough.
Right. On that.
Right. So the person that comes to me and says, "Oh my God, the job market's so tough. I can't find work. I can't do this. And you, all right. So what do you do? right? Okay, well, how long were you your last job? How many jobs you had in the last 5 years?
Right.
So what are you doing to make it different? Well, nothing. I posted it out here. Okay, well, that's not how it is.
Right.
So don't say that when you're not putting in the effort. Are you getting up at 8 and working till 5 every day?
Right.
Are you getting up at 7 and working till 7 every day because that's what you need to do?
Right.
No, I took some time off and I went, okay, well then I don't know what you're bitching about.
Right.
So when you say to me, I submitted my resume 1,300 times, which I had somebody do that recently.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've heard that over and over.
And I'm like, you submitted your resume 1,300 times, and what do?
Right.
There's not even 1,300 open positions like that in the country. So you're submitting it to anything. So not only did you not get it, but now the company that you did that to has basically blacklisted you off of their list.
Right. No, and that makes
said,
total sense.
We don't want to work with you. So now you just cut yourself out because you're not thinking smart. When you have to think of it as you can't be desperate, and you said that earlier, if you sound desperate, you're not going to get hired.
Right. No, I agree with that 1,000%.
You got to be confident in what you are. In order to be confident, show up.
Right.
My saying, as you know, is I don't show up to a gunfight with a knife.
Right.
So show up prepared and ready to understand they have a position. Here's why I am your best bet. Not all these reasonings of how great a person you are. Like I've been doing this in the past. This is what I've done. I had a resume today sent to me, and it went through a whole thing of why they were so great.
Right.
But they had no experience in what they were wanting to do.
Right.
I can't tell somebody hire this person. They've never done this, but my gosh, everybody likes them. You should hire them.
You should hire them, and that works, But it's true, I try to tell people that too, and I say just be relevant, like we've said it numerous times, and stand out and be different, and maybe things will be different. But 13, I've had to say 1,000. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
that's myself. I always look at jobs that are hiring because I want to see the requirements, and I look through. I'm like, okay, well, that's not me. Well, that's not me. There's no sense. You're like that. I don't like that quick apply or something. That is like, oh my God, everybody just, they don't read it.
No, and that's why we've been trying to make this experience so much better for people. And why we took a step back is that I want to qualify and make sure that experience is good for the individual looking, but for us also to make sure, hey, before we even push forward, we make sure they're qualified so that it's a good experience, because too many people just don't care.
That's what it does.
Hassan's got a question down there. I don't know if you saw that one.
Oh, did you?
I thought it was an interesting. I thought it was a good one.
Oh, here it is. I didn't see that one. Okay, that was done. Okay, there we go. I'm seeing more companies and coaching groups asking candidates to pay upfront fees, sometimes 3 to 5. Whoa, marketing, executive interview prep, placement programs. Are they actually worth it? And how? I just started hearing about that.
I did too.
Yeah,
it's funny. The proverbial headhunter, right? Is I mean, I don't know. I think these are recruiters who have figured out they're trying to market. Look, there's a void. We know that. So are they selling a marketing service?
Right.
And then are they selling an executive interview prep thing? That's really interesting. And if you think about, are they going to put you through, like you do the show where you're doing the interviews and the people come on? Yep. I mean, are they going to conduct interviews with you, X number of interview hours with an individual to help teach you and prep you on the correct way?
Right.
Okay, that's interesting. I haven't seen one that is highly successful for 2 reasons. One, how do you scale that business?
Yeah.
Just for the record, very difficult to scale because you're going to need a lot of clients, and it's a one-time fee unless you get them on some type of a monthly ongoing fee. I just don't know how that would work, and there's only so many hours in a work week. So
you're paying an exclusive placement. That means that they're going to provide a company, right? That's signed up.
Well, you would think. Yeah, but most states require that if you take money from a job seeker, you have to be licensed and pay a fee. Right. Like in Texas, if you want to be a headhunter and take a fee from someone, I need to be licensed. I have to go through the state licensing.
Oh wow!
Special insurance. And you know what? It protects the public.
Right. Yeah, I guess so,
And
because I just started hearing about this. This is
I did too.
yeah, it just started. I've seen the question on LinkedIn, and I'm just like, wow, what?
But they're pitching it as a marketing campaign. I'm going to market you.
Right.
So you're paying for a marketing service.
Right.
Is how you can skirt. I mean, honestly, it would make sense for us to sell it as something like that to somebody, I guess, and pitch it as a separate service. I don't think you could. I don't know how you would do it. 3,000 to 5,000 seems very expensive to me for an individual looking for work.
Yeah.
But then I heard today somebody said, "Oh yeah, the executive piece is 15 to 20,000," and I'm thinking, wait a minute, because I mean that's what we would charge our client.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So what am I going to do? Help the person get a job and then let them do a payment plan? I mean, they're not working most likely.
Right.
How are they going to pay me?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make sense. To me, these just seem like scams. There are so many free things online. Right. So many free things, even with ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, every one of those LLMs. If you go in there, there's plenty of them that are out there. But I am telling you guys, we got to get Barb on here. She has got a program. She does have a program for people that will help candidates and people that are looking for work go through. It's an online.
Successful.
Yeah, it's how to be successful and look for work, and it helps them with their resume and information. And it's like a one-time. It's a small fee. It's not. That's not that, but it's self-paced to help people. Yeah, we need. I'm going to reach out to her actually and give her a hard time and get her on here, David, because I think people would love to hear her. She is as genuine as can be.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I definitely would be looking. I'd be Googling that company. I'd be looking all over on anything, reviews or Jesus. I mean, recent stuff, because I don't know if I'd pay that much. Or if you're guaranteed, it's like kind of going like, and we have the CDL driver school down here, and it's also CNC HVAC. You pay for the college for 2 years to learn. Yeah. They place you because they I don't think they guarantee you, because nobody can.
Well, they can't. Yeah,
they can't. They can say, hey, we have the companies, but you're paying for that. We're giving you the schooling. Then you're going out.
But that's different. That's different, right? Because you're walking away with a skill.
Right.
And once you learn the skill, you can't take it away from me.
I mean, for 2 years, you have that behind you, and you're not paying. You're paying like maybe 10,000 only for 2 years. And I look at this and I'm like, wow, $5,000. I'd be like, damn, that's what I used to get on some CNC just for 10% going over to them and saying that. I was like, wow. Yeah. But
I would. It's a really great question, and I do think I just don't know. I wouldn't spend the money.
Yeah, I'd have to say, man, I just a little leery. Until
I worry. I just worry about scams.
Yeah,
I worry about it, and I worry that there's
that's a lot of money to just find out that they do your resume, and then they tell you, well, we've applied here for you. Well, anybody can send you anything nowadays. And look at it, you'd be like, wow, look what they're doing.
You can do it on your own. You can do it on your own. I'm telling you, LinkedIn is auto submitting you to jobs.
I'd rather pay $5,000 to LinkedIn.
Not LinkedIn. Did I say LinkedIn? Sorry, Indeed.
Yeah. Indeed.
Indeed is, and LinkedIn's not, guys. Sorry about that.
That's spending $3,000 on that to find you a job.
No.
Shoot,
because they could take your resume and go do it for free.
That's what
like, you want to pay me $3,000 and for me to upload your resume?
And go on like that. Jesus.
No, don't do that. All right,
sir. Look at that 1 hour, boy. That was a long one. Whew. This is like a news channel.
Missed out last week. I'm glad we were able to make it happen.
No, Bill, I always like ending it too, and about if you could say again what you do and people go to the website and what kind of services you provide.
Well, you're very kind. Frontline Source Group, and website is just frontlinesourcegroup.com. I promise, if you type it in, just Frontline Source Group, you will find us. I always recommend and try to tell everybody, please go to LinkedIn, our company page on LinkedIn, follow us on LinkedIn. On the show, if I can help, reach out. I don't know that I can. I get a lot of messages, and I'm going to tell you guys, I find a lot that go to spam, so I apologize in advance, but I try to connect and help you out. David does a great job as well, but we're a professional executive search and staffing agency, if you will. We've changed over the years, and so we're nationwide, and we've got a lot of different specialties that are on there. The key with us is look, we can't help everyone, but our system to upload and to be into our system when we do have a position, because we have clients that will call us for some really crazy different things that we normally don't do.
Calls. You say, yeah, you get a discovery calls. And if you have a pool of that, wow, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So get in there, just get your information loaded up at frontlinesourcegroup.com. I appreciate that, Dave, very much.
All right, sir. Well, I guess I'll see you soon, and I'm going to put this video on and talk to you a second after this. All right, Bill.
Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you soon. Yep.